Hey guys, here's a quick little one-take tech tip for you. The 6.5 liter diesel that's in our Suburban, these have a common issue, as you probably know, about pump-mounted drivers. And a pump-mounted driver, basically the injection pump is in the valley here, and the pump-mounted driver is mounted on the side of the injection pump. And it's intended to be, it's a large, like a high-current electrical device, essentially. And it needs a lot of cooling, and those those components inside of it have certain temperature ratings that need to be abided by for it to survive. And when the engine's running, the fuel is flowing past like a wall of the injection pump that's, I believe, aluminum, and it sucks the heat out of the PMD. Now, when you shut the truck off, though, and you let it sit around a little while, all the heat that soaks up, from this thing, and with the lack of fuel flow to cool it, it typically kills the PMDs pretty quickly. So a really common modification for these is to relocate. So there's a few different commercial kits to do this. So I've got one here, fsdcooler.com. It looks like this came on the truck. I don't know these guys. So it looks like a pretty nice little setup. And as I recall, when I bought the truck, I looked it up online, and they had, I'm talking about this, done some research or whatever, and said there's plenty of airflow up here. But I've noticed that this thing gets really hot. Just from the current running through the driver, which is mounted underneath. It gets really hot, and when you shut the truck off, this being a black truck and the hood closed right up against it here, it just heat soaks a lot. And it's been fine for several years. Actually had a PMD go bad, and I put one of these D-Tech, it's supposed to be like a heavier duty version on it. I have two. This one you can see has got a date of March of '09 is when I started using it, so it's been around a while. Anyway, I had this one on here, and it started having a flaky idle RPM. These things can give you all sorts of weird symptoms when they go bad. So I swapped to a backup, a spare that I keep, and it's been fine for a couple of years. But lately, I just had a no start. I've had harder starting conditions, and I think at this point it's related to the heat. I've noticed it's only when it's really hot, and if you open the hood, even after sitting for an hour and you put your hand on this, you can almost get burned by it. So the truck I had before this one, which this PMD, was good on that one for about 8 years or so. I just had this old random piece of heat sink. It's larger, as you can tell, than what this commercial company is, which I guess is in the direction of goodness. I'm not sure it's required to be quite as large as it is. Unplug that. This was just like some random thing that I had sitting around at the time. So it is larger. It has a little more mass to it, which is good. Make sure you mount these things with, the heat paste. They actually come with usually a little pink gasket-looking thing that is heat paste, essentially. It goes under here, so that you get good thermal conductivity. And then the other thing I did in the other truck is I actually had this mounted inside this snorkel. And I forget, it's been a while. I think it was offset to one side, sort of partially obstructing the snorkel, and the airflow, would run down this cooler. And the advantage of this is there's really no heat down here. Once you shut the truck off, the radiator's back here, but it's back there a ways, and it's low, so the airflow actually scoops up in here and goes to the radiator up top. So just convection cooling when it's sitting around with the truck off is going to keep this area at whatever temp it is outside. So this thing shouldn't heat up a whole lot more from heat soak from just sitting around. In fact, it'll just cool it. And that lasted, like I say, a really long time on the other truck without any issues. After having a lot of problems on that truck with PMDs going bad, this solved it, essentially. So I'm going to do that on this one, on my old Suburban here. That's a 99 GMC K2500. Because I've had the PMD acting a little flaky lately, and after a couple of years of running this setup and kind of paying attention to how hot it gets, I've just decided that I don't think it's the right way to go. Certainly better than stock. If you've got one of these and it's working, fine, more power to you. But something, a PMD that's lasted, it's 11 years old now, they're suddenly starting to give me trouble after being on this cooler setup for the last couple of years. So that's my advice. Have a good day. Thank you. Hope it helps you.